Hey everybody, Rachel here from Rachthestamper.com, and today I'm going to show you how to make these really sweet little hand sanitizer holders. I am a huge believer in essential oils, and I use Young Living. This is their hand sanitizer, so I'm going to show you how to make a little box. If you have any questions about that, you can always send me an email at rachthestamper@gmail.com. So I made two different ones. This one actually, I made the paper a little bit too small. So this one doesn't have that little fold-in flap lid. So instead what I did is I just closed it up and then I wrapped the organdy ribbon around it. This is the glittered organdy ribbon, and it does come off a little bit easier than it goes back on, but let me see if I can slide that on there for you can see. I might have to retie it. But anyway, this will make it easy for them to slide it off, and hopefully they will use it and they won't think it's a candy treat. But both of my son's teachers are going to get one of these, and they have told me they don't like candy, or they don't want candy right now anyway, so this will be a really fun treat for them to get. So these are super simple. I'm going to make another one, and I'm going to do it this time instead of Highland Heather. I'm going to do it in Gorgeous Grape. Okay, so you can actually get two of these out of one sheet of cardstock. So let me put this over here, and I'm going to show you. This is the template, and I will put all the measurements on my blog. This is made out of an old piece of Peekaboo Peach. So this is a half of the cardstock sheet, and then here is another one. So obviously you can see this is a little bit smaller, but you can get two of these out of one sheet of paper. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this down to size. So what we're going to do for this is we're going to have it at 6 1/4. This is what your starting piece needs to be, 6 1/4 by 5. So if you have some extra paper laying around, obviously I could have cut this a little bit differently, so I could have got it to line up better, but that's okay for demonstration purposes. But if you have some paper laying around, you could certainly make these very simply. And then what we're going to do is we're going to decorate it with the Toil and Trouble DSP. All my friends are always giving me a hard time because I'm into essential oils and just calling me the oil lady. So that's why I decorated these. Kind of they look like a little bit of a magic potion. So I thought that was fun. So we're going to start off first on the 5-inch side. Okay, so on the 5-inch side, you're going to score at 1/2 inch, 1 1/4, 2 3/4, and 3 1/2. Okay, so this is going to be our final score line, the 5 here. Okay, so then we're going to turn it so we're on the 6 1/4 inch side, and this time we're going to score at 1/2 inch, and we're going to score at, again, 1 1/4. We're going to score at 5 inches and 5 3/4. Okay, so that is our little box right there. You can see it's gonna get trimmed out, and I'll explain this to you. It is very simple to put together. So what we are going to do is we're going to go ahead and fold this on the score lines and just reinforce it with our bone folder. Make sure we have really nice crisp edges for our box. And I love making these little projects, 3D projects, to give to teachers or really just to anybody. It's kind of crazy. I know I'll sound a little insane, but I do I sit and think sometimes when I'm playing with my son and we're doing Play-Doh or something, you know, they come with those little boxes, and those are the things that I start dreaming of. How can I make that into something for cards? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to trim this piece up just to look like this piece. So if you notice, this is the thin side right here. Okay, this is going to be our tab that we close. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove, I'm going to go ahead and angle cut here. We're going to remove this whole little end piece. And I'm going to do the same on this side. I'm going to give this an angle cut and remove this piece here. And then, oops, got that a little crazy with my cutting. We're going to cut to the score line on all of these. And do make sure you go all the way to the end. I've had a couple where I've not snipped quite far enough and paper's getting stuck. So just make sure you go all the way to the score line. Okay, so you can see these are all 4 to the score line. Now what we're going to do is we're going to fold in the 2 bigger flaps, and we're going to cut these off. So we're going to trim these and give them a little angle cut. Okay, and we'll do the same on this one. Just trim it down. You don't have to, but kind of makes your box close a little bit nicer. And then we're going to do the same on this side. So we're going to fold in the 2 big straps. We're going to trim this down a little angle cut, trim, angle. Okay, so now generally wherever your box is going to close, so if this is the back here, you're going to put your flap. This is going to go in from the back, okay? So we're going to cut off the front of one flap and then the back of the other. Hope that makes sense. Kind of just makes your box close, so they're going to look opposite again, okay? So you can do this either way. You can cut off the closer one, or you can cut off the farther one, as long as they're opposite. So we're going to take the farther one. So this is the one without the little skinny strap on the side, okay? And then we're going to take the closer one on this side. Okay, and if you'd like, what you could do is you can fold this over, and you could put this into your corner. Your trio punch has that little corner rounder. Just fold it in so it's very square. And just slide that in again, and then you can just round off your ends there. You can do this on both sides if you like. Just kind of depends on if you want it rounded or not. We'll do the same on this one. Just fold this in. Okay, so we have rounded edges now. And what we're going to do is we're going to grab some tear and tape. You definitely want a nice adhesive. So we're going to grab some tear and tape. I'm going to put this down right here on the end. So this is the tab that's going to hold your box closed. Okay, so give that a good press. And then once again, so if this is going to be the back of the box, the seam is going to be in the back. So you're going to want this flap to come in front. So we're going to put just a little bit of adhesive here just to hold the bottom closed. This is optional. You don't have to do that. And then while we're at it, I'm going to decorate this with a little bit of Designer Series paper, but I like to put this down while this is flat. That way I get a nice good adhesion to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my trimmer, and we're going to just put a couple pieces. So I did use the frogs, so kind of like a potion with the witch, and the broomsticks. You could use the stars, so you can make it more Halloween fun. Just kind of depends on what you want to do. So this does measure 3 3/4 for the actual box. So if this is about 3 1/2, that would be 3 1/2-ish, give or take. That's good enough. So I'm going to do this at about 1/2 inch. We'll just do the little strips for the frog. So this is 1/2 inch and just a little shy, kind of right around 3 1/2, I believe this is. Yeah, just a little bit over. So this is going to lay right here, just like that. So we'll put 2 strips there. And then the other one I think I'm going to do is, I'm going to do the witches. So these are about 1.5 inches wide. So we're going to make these just slightly less. So you have just about 2 tick marks. So it's about a 1/8 inch less. And then again, same thing. So these measure 3 3/4. So we're going to go just a hair less. And what I'm going to do is, just so I make sure that I get a full witch on there, I'm going to flip her around so I can make sure her face is on there. So we have her on there. And then we'll do, let's see if this one, we get her all the way on there. So 3 3/4. Yeah, we'll put her on there. Okay. So we have our 2 pieces for that. Move this out of the way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put some adhesive onto the back of these. Again, you certainly can use snail if you're going to just put these little pieces of DSP on, but just make sure you use a generous amount, because the last thing you want is to put your project together and then to have your paper falling off, which has happened to me, which is why I don't want it to happen to you, because there's nothing worse than going to look at something that you made and then it doesn't match correctly. So with the frogs, they're not really directional, so I'm going to go ahead and pop the frogs on there. And then I just want to make sure I have my witches facing the correct direction before I put them on. So if this is the way our box is going to close, this is going to be in the back. Okay, so our flap will close into the front. That's how usually, if you open a box from the store, that's generally how they open. So I'm going to put this being my front panel. So I'm going to put, which one of these ladies? We'll put her on here, like that. And if you wanted to, you could skip the back panel, but so we already have it cut and it looks pretty fun. And then you could just take your bone folder just to give these a press, just to make sure they stick very nicely. And I might have to trim these just a teeny bit on the side, because I noticed when I closed that to test it, it was just a hair off. So I'm going to just give these just a little bit of a tiny trim. Just a slightest miter cut. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take off my release paper for my tear and tape on all of these. Okay, Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this over just very gently. Oops, too gently. There we go. And make sure this, and I want to just give this a good press. Okay, I'm just trying to avoid that piece of tear and tape there. So just press that down. And you know what? I think I just did that. I did. Son of a gun. I did this one backwards. Nope, that's right. Here we go. Oh, Lord, I thought I was losing it. So we're going to put this in. Slide them in the bottom. This one might be just a hair more of a trim here. And take just a little bit off. Okay. And it also has to do a little bit with where the flap is. There we go. Okay. So then, I know you're worried about the fact of that's not all the way fully adhered. When you push your hand sanitizer in, it's going to make sure that those little flaps down at the bottom stick to this bottom panel. So then all you have to do is just drop in your hand sanitizer and close this up so it fits really nicely. So there you can see that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just stamp just to decorate this a little bit. So I did the No Tricks, No Treat with the cat. But another fun one you could do is you could do the ghost, and then I'm still going to add the little bubbles in just because I thought that was fun. So I'm going to do these with stays on because that way I can kind of color the ghost in a little bit, and then I can color in the little potion-y looking sparkles with, make sure this is going to fit before I reuse this one, with my, yeah, that's good, my Stampin' blends. So I'm just going to add that to the top. And then I'm going to add the ghost kind of over here in the background. We'll see if we can fit all that stuff in. I am going to give that just a second to dry. And while I do that, I'm going to go ahead and punch this out. See if we can get that in there all faced in. Okay, so I'm just going to give this just a moment to dry. I'm not going to do a terrific amount of coloring, but just a little bit. I'm going to grab my Mango Melody marker. I'm going to grab my Granny Apple Green and my Pumpkin Pie, and then while we're at it, the Light Smoky Slate. So with the Tricks and Treats, I'm going to pretty much leave that one alone, but I'm going to color in just a little bit of this little decorative part with the stars. So I'm just going to fill that in a little bit with the Mango Melody. This is the dark. For the green, I'm going to fill in these little tiny dots here. They did get a little goopier than I wanted, but that's okay. And then with the little like sparkling potions, add a little bit of pumpkin pie. Just add a little bit of tracing around that. And then I'll do the same thing with the no up here. Okay. And if you wanted to, you could always add just like a little bit of a line of color under the treats and the tricks just to keep that Halloween theme in there. Now I'm going to grab my Smoky Slate and I'm going to just fill in a little bit of this ghost. Just like that. Oops. Oh goodness, I'm getting it all over myself. A little bit of his smile as well. Okay. And you can also, if you wanted to, you could bring out your dark Smoky Slate and just kind of bring a little bit of a darker spot to the other side. For the shading wise, a little bit under his smile. And then I'm going to bring this back in for the rest of it. Just blend the rest of him with a light Smoky Slate. That way he kind of sticks out behind this No Tricks or Treats part. And then if you wanted to, so we didn't do this ahead of time, you could go back with your color lifter and just lift a little bit of the white on this side. Kind of give him that little ghostly see-through swirl. A little bit on the eyes. There we go. That's cute. So he's kind of starting to become a little bit more of a mottled looking ghost. So there's that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a dimensional on the back of this. And then even though I know we already closed this, we can certainly add some glittered ribbon because this is really cute. So we could add a little bit of that on here. And what I did was I tied this once. Let me bring this down just a smidge. I tied this once just to kind of hold it in place. just like that. And then I'm going to go ahead and trim off the end. Okay, and then I took, this is from the Farmhouse Cotton Twine Trio. This is actually in Mossy Meadow, and I just went around and tied this in a little, you could tie it in a knot or a bow, whatever you prefer. But I tied this in a little knot like that, and we'll see if we can get a little bow. Okay, bring this down, make it a little smaller. Oops, this one doesn't want to come around because I tied my bow the wrong direction. And I'm going to just nip these guys off. Let's see. There we go. Bring these guys down a little bit. Oops. Okay, and then we can add our little, I'm going to slide this over so you can see her. Put this right down here. No tricks, just treats. So there's those two, and then this one I didn't finish, but we could put something really simple in this as well. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed those. Those are really cute, very simple little holders for our hand sanitizer. If you have any questions about anything shown today, all you have to do is send me an email at rachthestamper@gmail.com. You can buy all of these supplies and more in my online store 24/7, rachthestamper.stampinup.net. Except for the hand sanitizer, like I said. If you have any questions about that, feel free to shoot me an email. I hope you guys have an awesome day, and I hope you found this project handy. Thanks for watching.